This is absurd. We have a wild trade update for the New York Islanders as an insider has revealed a Detroit Red Wings trade package for Noah Dobson. We're going to break it all down on this episode of Islanders Digest and talk about if this package makes sense at all for the New York Islanders. Really quickly, before we get into that, we noticed that 65% of you who watch these videos have not yet subscribed to the channel. So if you're an Islander fan, you want more Islanders content just like this, especially in this crazy offseason, what are you waiting for? Hit subscribe. It's free. Join this Islanders community on YouTube. Now let's get right into talking about this rumored trade offer, and if this is true, I really hope the Islanders do not even consider this trade offer, and I don't think they will. Stefan Rosner has reported on the Hockey News that the Detroit Red Wings have inquired about the Islanders' pending restricted free agent Noah Dobson, and this makes a lot of sense, especially for the Detroit Red Wings. They are a team that is desperate to make the playoffs. In fact, if Detroit does not make the playoffs this year, Yzerman is likely getting fired, so there is a lot of pressure, and as a result, there is an opportunity for the Islanders to fleece the Red Wings in a trade. But likely, if that's going to happen, this offer is going to have to change a lot. Obviously, when you're trying to make a trade, you don't start high, so this is probably the Red Wings trying to lowball the Islanders. And then if a trade does happen, they will likely meet a lot closer to the Islanders' terms, because really, especially considering the situation with the Red Wings and how desperately they need to add a difference maker this offseason, the Islanders have a lot of leverage. Yes, Noah Dobson has put them in a bit of a tough position, but compared to the Red Wings, if the Islanders do want to make a trade for Noah Dobson, they are going to get a lot more in return, because reporter Bob Duff has cited that Elliot Friedman has stated that the Detroit's offer includes forwards JT Compher and Johnathan Berggren. Now, I'm not sure if I'm saying the second name correct. Apologize. While I have seen him play once before in a game, he really wasn't all that noticeable. In games, it's his third year in the NHL. He is a young player with some potential, but in a trade for Noah Dobson, he honestly is not something that really moves the needle, at least in my opinion. Honestly, JT Compher is another player, and I like JT Compher. Do not get me wrong. I think he is the perfect third-line center, but I'm not trading Noah Dobson for an unknown young player. Not unknown, but a relatively low impact young player, a player who also plays with JT Compher on the third line and JT Compher. This is really basically you're trading Noah Dobson for two third line players. One of them, mind you, and while I love JT Compher, he is overpaid. Now we're going to break down in a little more detail. It is noted here the Detroit Red Wings do have the 13th overall pick in this draft. Likely a trade like this is going to include a lot of draft capital. So while these are the main names involved, likely talking in a trade, it's very likely that the Islanders are looking for, if not multiple first round picks, then a first round pick, a prospect, something like that. I'm sure this is not the only thing being offered in return for the Islanders, as JT Compher in particular really does not move the needle. He has 3 more seasons on his contract. He is pretty productive on the third line, but he's making $5.1 million, and he's 30 years old already. That's actually the exact type of player the Islanders, at least in my opinion, should be looking to get rid of right now. Berggren, on the other hand, is a player who, while young and has shown flashes, has not really put it all together. I'm going to take a look at Berggren's stats first. And he's a player, again, 24 years old now. I think he just turned 24, so he's really more 23, 24. So basically a player about Holmstrom's age. And the issue is just that he hasn't really had that breakout season yet. Drafted 33 overall. I think this is a player who does have talent and does play a good, well-rounded game, I would say, in my opinion. Again, I've seen him play before, but he's just not a player that really moves the needle. And if you're watching a broadcast, you maybe hear his name 3 or 4 times in the entire game. He has 12 goals, 12 assists last season. A lot to build off of, but when we're talking about a trade for Noah Dobson, the young player that you want to get in return is more along the lines of a first liner or second liner. Realistically, you want more of a JJ Peterka than a Berggren. And while JT Compher is definitely more of an NHL established player, he is a third line center. And one thing I do want to point out is, yes, we're talking a lot recently on the channel about moving JG Pageau, so the Islanders might need a third-line center, although I do think that should be Callum Ritchie and allow him to grow into that role. I do want to note, if Noah Dobson is being traded, the Islanders no longer have any incentive to trade JG Pageau. The reason why we've been talking about it so much recently is the Islanders are likely going to need more money if they do sign Noah Dobson, which is why they'd have to trade Pageau. In this situation, the Islanders are trading Noah Dobson. It does not make sense to get a player like Compher, because in that case, you can likely keep Pageau at least to the trade deadline. Looking at this trade, I really wonder if this is a heavily futures a heavily futures focused trade. And the reason why Compher is involved is that $5.1 million salary cap. If you're the Detroit Red Wings and you're likely going to be signing Dobson for $10 million, you're likely going to need to free up a little cap. And in that case, I wouldn't mind the Islanders taking Compher's salary in return for a really big prospect. As we're going to talk about, Detroit has a lot of really big prospects. But as him as the main piece in a trade, that really makes no sense. Again, with Noah Dobson, you want to get something really valuable. In previous videos, and while we're probably slightly overestimating the value of Noah Dobson, being that we are an Islanders channel, I was talking more about along the lines of JJ Peterka and a first-round pick. Realistically, perhaps you're not getting that first-round pick in addition to JJ Peterka, but you're likely getting more assets in addition to Peterka. So a deal like this with a really unproven 23-year-old forward and a 30-year-old veteran that likely the Islanders would not need, in the sense of the Islanders are not in a situation where they're trying to desperately improve their third line. In fact, the issue is more they desperately need players to play in their top six, and if they're going to get a player like that, Noah Dobson is a piece that can really help get something like that. Rather than depth pieces, I would be really stunned if Darsh took a deal like this. In fact, I'm going to go out and say, if this is what the offers are going to be like for Noah Dobson, and I don't think they are, I think there are going to be much better offers. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if Detroit has given a lot better offer, and perhaps this is just a part of a bigger offer, including the 13th overall pick and one of their top prospects. In that case, that would really change everything. If we get another name in this trade, and it's one of Detroit's top prospects, they have one of the best prospect pools in the league. But just based on what's here right now, I would actually rather sign Noah Dobson for a full $11 million than trade him for this return. Because with Noah Dobson, while he has failed in recent seasons and hasn't really played the level that we know he can, at least last season, we still know he can have a 70-point season. He scored 70 points just a year ago. And if you're looking at JT Compher and Berggren as forwards, the two of them combined did not score 70 points last season. In fact, Noah Dobson scored more points than both these players as a defenseman. So this really does not seem like a return suitable for Noah Dobson. Now, if this is a situation where perhaps Detroit, again, we talked about how Detroit is desperate to make the playoffs. It's been a long time. Yzerman is likely on the hot seat. Now, this is a trade that involves one of their top defensive prospects, or I don't think the Islanders are really interested in their goaltending prospects in Kosa, which I'm actually really high on Kosa as a goaltending prospect. I think he's going to be a really good goaltender. Issue with Detroit is I don't know if it's going to be in time for them to make the playoffs, at least in terms of Yzerman keeping his job. But maybe they're getting a center prospect like Nate Danielson, although I do think the Islanders probably want more wing prospects at this point. Or, of course, if you're trading Dobson, you're going to want a defenseman. So, Alexei Sandin Peleka, so I'm not really sure how to pronounce his name, but you're getting a player like that. Then I think that's something that really moves the needle for the Islanders, and perhaps that is something that is possible. But just based on what we know with this offer right now, being JT Compher and Johnathan Berggren, I really don't think this is a fit for the Islanders. But let me know in the comments what you think about this trade. If you're an Islander fan, what would it take from Detroit for you to move Noah Dobson? Let me know what you think should be included in a trade below. And if you're a Detroit Red Wings fan, am I underestimating some of these players? What do you think would be a fair return for Noah Dobson if you're getting Noah Dobson in a trade? I'd love to know your thoughts in the comments. Having hockey conversation with you in the comments is one of the best parts of being on this channel. If you haven't already, what are you waiting for? Be sure to subscribe. Catch you on the next episode of Islanders Digest. My name is Patrick Nilan. Let's go, Islanders.